So there's this speaker who is partway through delivering his message, his sermon at a church, and he begins to take the Bible in his hand. He starts ripping out these pages from the Bible. To the gasps of the audience, of the congregation there, watching him pull these papers out of the holy scriptures and scrunching them up and throwing them on the floor. As he does this, he proceeds to tell the congregation about the meaninglessness of these words if they're not applied into the individual's life and lived out in their life. And obviously, it's a drastic and extreme illustration, and to be honest, it didn't go down so well in the church. And as a result, the next day, as all the church leaders gathered together to discuss how the last Sunday went, this speaker gets kind of reprimanded and they say, look mate, there was just no need for you to go to such extremes to make a point about the Bible in that way. And without really giving his defense, another person in that room, another elder I think it was, goes to the drawer and pulls out a CD. And that CD he snaps in half. You know, the days of CDs. And that CD was actually the Bible on CD, and no one really said much of anything, you know. And the point that elder tried to make was, what is it that we're so precious about with these words? What is it that makes us, in some ways, gasp and cry foul when someone would threaten to rubbish the words of Scripture? And it kind of made me think about the talk I just had with Michael McDonald from the Bible Project. Now, both Michael and I have such a love for the Bible. Without it, we wouldn't have these incredible life-changing words that reveal to us the very heart of God. But I found that illustration of that pastor really telling, you know, how important it truly is that we can have these incredible words, but unless the ideas of justice, of compassion, of mercy, of grace, and love are actually lived out in our lives, they really are just words. And it is so important that we wrestle not only with the meaning of these words, but the application of these words in our daily lives. And, you know, that's what this podcast episode 13 with Michael McDonald, the lead director for global focus and strategic relationships around the world, for the Bible Project that is dedicated to making incredible cartoons about the Bible that tells this unified story, Genesis to Revelations, that lead us to Jesus. And we have an incredible time talking about that, but there's one other thing that Michael shared that really stuck out to me as we were talking. I want to share with you today, and I think it's a really important thing. It's this idea of caring what people think about us. You know, when I approached the Bible, when I look at it, I've recently had some really, really tough questions for it. And I haven't really had the answers I wanted. And I don't know if you're like me and you, there's times, and Michael honestly and candidly shares about the seasons in his life where he just hasn't wanted to read the Bible. He's been angry with it, he's been frustrated with it, and I'd have to say that the same experiences are for me too. There's times when I'm wrestling with what it says. Sometimes what it seems to indicate what God is like that I'm just not okay with. here's the deal. It's okay to have those questions. It's okay to have these doubts. And Michael says this one thing. He says, we care a lot about what people think about us. And I don't think we would be so afraid to maybe wrestle with these things. Wrestle with some of the challenging things in Scripture, some of the things we just might not agree with. Sometimes we're too afraid to talk about this stuff because we care too much about what other people think about us. We care that people might think that we're losing our way, losing our faith, losing our connection to what it means to be a Christian. And I just want to say, look guys, as someone who's been on this journey, it's okay. And as we press into wrestling with, for me, the ideas of justice and the ways of Jesus that completely lead us into a life of service of the vulnerable amongst us, the least amongst us, living our lives to elevate and empower those that have been oppressed. You know, to me, that's central to the heart of Jesus. It's central to the way in which he loves me. But as we do that, we've got to be willing to surround ourselves with people where it's okay to question, it's okay to wrestle. I want to encourage you today. Try not to care too much about what other people think about you, because if someone's going to question you or challenge you or say things about you behind your back, maybe because of a question that you've raised, maybe they're not the kinds of people you need to be around. You surround yourself with people that love you, believe in you, that give you space to question and challenge. Guys, this is a hurting world. This is a tough time for many people. A lot of people that I've talked with recently have come to grips with the systemic injustices that are in our society that privilege people like myself, white, males in particular. Society's built for people like myself. I have so much. What am I going to do about it? And it's okay to wrestle with these things, to dig deep into these things, to look honestly at Scripture. I really hope you enjoyed this discussion I have with Michael McDonald. He really is one of my favourite human beings on this planet. He's someone I can call up and talk to at any moment in time. He's someone I know I don't have to worry about what he thinks about me, because I know he's someone that always believes in the best of me. And find those people in your lives, guys. We've got a lot of hard topics and hard discussions to have, some really important and good ones to have. And I hope that you're finding that through the Justice Matters podcast, that there's a space that you can kind of tune in and listen to some of these discussions and wrestle your way through. Peace out, guys. Thanks for letting me take up some time to chat with you about this. Cheers.